We're live?
Yep.
Good. Let me call to order the October 4, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting for the Pottstown Borough Council. I would like to mention to you, we've had two past public servants pass recently. One was Thomas Palladino, who was a local district justice for 18 years, a Pottstown High School teacher for 25 years, U.S. Army veteran, and for your interest, services are scheduled for Saturday, October 7th at St. Gabriel's Church in Stowe. We also lost Robert, or Bob Douglas, as we knew him. He was a former First Ward councilor, first sworn in January 3rd of 1994. He passed away on September 25th. And Bob was a longtime community servant. So when I ask you to rise, please keep their families in mind as you ask that they be given benefit. If you would rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start with a presentation. Mayor Henrik, if you will, and Chief Markovich.
Try to use the microphones, guys.
All right, can you all hear me? It is my privilege to award this civilian award to Mr. Elias C. Scipio for his courageous actions on March 27th, 2023. At 19:02 hours, Officer Martin and Stolfutz were dispatched to 121 North Franklin Street for a physical disturbance in progress. Responding police officers received information that a male involved in this disturbance may be armed with a gun. Officer Stolfutz arrived in the area, located the male suspect, and tried to contact him at North Franklin and Chestnut Streets. The suspect fled from Officer Stolfutz on foot. Officer Martin arrived and pursued the suspect. Concerned citizen Elias C. Scipio, Elias C. Scipio witnessed Officer Martin pursuing the suspect in the area of the AutoZone located at 365 East High Street. Elias witnessed the suspect discard a handgun into the trash receptacle outside of AutoZone as he was fleeing from Officer Martin. Elias decided to run behind Officer Martin, recognizing that Officer Martin was alone at this point. Officer Martin caught up with the suspect behind 356 East High Street. A struggle ensued as Officer Martin was attempting to take the suspect into custody. Elias immediately assisted Officer Martin in taking the suspect into custody without further incident. After the suspect was taken into custody, it was found that he possessed a loaded 9mm handgun hidden in his waistband. The handgun located on the suspect was discovered to be stolen. Elias then provided detailed information regarding the location of the discarded handgun, and it was swiftly located, secured, and collected by the Pottstown Police Department. Elias Scipio's assistance led to the arrest of a dangerous suspect and the removal of 2 handguns from the streets of the borough. The Pottstown Police Department is grateful for Elias's assistance in this arrest. The actions of Elias C. Scipio bring honor to himself and the Pottstown community. Thank you.
Okay. From our subcommittee reports, infrastructure, Councilor Lebedinsky. Anything?
Yeah, infrastructure is in your packet.
Yes? Anything to add?
No.
No? Transportation?
We didn't meet in your notes are in the packet.
All right. Safety committee? Not here. All right. Efficient methods, Councilor Lebedinsky.
Yeah, we had for the September meeting, we reviewed the service request system, work order system. We were given some handouts for our July and August, and the manager seems to find it easier to use and control the issues with these handouts and the data that we're gathering from them. They can monitor the work orders and track the closeouts, track improvements through automated emails and complaint generated requests. There's been an improvement in the communication between Public Works and L&I. And the one thing that was noted out of that whole meeting was, or at least I thought was a nice outcome of it, was they overcame a lot of resistance from resistant workers who a lot of times may be technologically resistant. And it's really kind of, with a little bit of time and a little bit of education and training, it's starting to pull through for these guys. So it's looking better and better each month. Now, we launched this at the beginning of the year, I believe. So, I mean, we've made leaps and bounds, and yes, there's still flaws, but we're improving every month. And hopefully we'll get to a point where most of our issues and complaints will go away.
Very good. Ordinance review, Councilor Proskal. No meeting. Under the board's human relations, Ms. Levingood?
They're Tuesday.
Good evening, councilors, council president, and Madam Mayor. National Hispanic Heritage Month continues
This
until
conference
October
will now be
15th.
recorded.
Also, Monday, October the 9th is Indigenous People Day and Columbus Day. And also, October is recognized as Italian American Heritage and Cultural Month, National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, National Disability Employment Month, National Bullying Prevention Month, and LGBTQ History Month. The October Human Relations Commission meeting was held last night. The commission would like to encourage all organizations, businesses, clubs, congregations, and individuals to participate in the Halloween parade, pending council approval, to be held on October the 22nd. You can register online or contact Parks and Recreation at 610-970-6618. Then the commission's next meeting is scheduled to be held on Tuesday, November the 14th at 6 p.m. in council chambers.
Okay. Thank you. And from the library, Mindy?
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good evening. I normally don't write down what I'm going to talk about. I usually just come up here and just talk, but I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything. So, as you know, libraries are institutions that have helped people for hundreds of years. And I could talk here about all the things that libraries do, but I will sum it up by saying libraries enrich communities by promoting literacy, offering inclusive spaces, and also cultural enrichment. Our Pottstown Library has limped along for a number of years, offering basic services with an extremely limited budget. Over the past 20 months, as executive director, I've been working diligently to ensure that our public library is a place of excellence. Not only do we offer the basics, our staff is encouraged to go above and beyond to ensure we are bringing the resources, compassion, and welcoming spaces our community desperately needs. I just returned from a 4-day conference with the Pennsylvania Library Association. While I was there, I received a first-time plaque for the Pottstown Regional Public Library. We were peer-reviewed as a library of excellence. We are a Gold Star library in the state of Pennsylvania. That is a new thing for us. Thank you. I want to give the acknowledgement to the staff. This normally takes a year to maintain. We started in April and we were designated September 12th. So they really pushed through to make sure that all of our programming, all of our offerings, all of our spaces are showing the state of Pennsylvania that we are a library of excellence, and strong libraries yield strong communities. Yay. Let's see. So I know that we are going over next year's budget this evening. I do have a slideshow presentation, but if anybody wants the slide deck, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share it with anyone and everyone. I've done a lot of research just to see where the libraries come from and where we'd like to go. But today I'm asking for you to consider the library when you're considering your budget for 2024. My research shows that for us to be a library of excellence, we need a bigger budget. We need to pay our staff competitively, and we do have, almost everyone on our staff has master's degrees. So it's not, just, we do have solid master's degree education to do what we do for this community. Our cost, when I figured it out, we go by the population of our service area. We do serve the borough, Upper, Lower, and West Pottsgrove Townships. It does cost us $24.27 per person in our service area to provide the basic operation budget for, to cover our costs. So we are asking all 4 municipalities to consider how much of that $24.27 per person they're willing to cover. I really think that our library is a wonderful space. It's improved over the years, and we look forward to serving for another 100 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And from the Ricketts Center, anything to add, Kirk, Counselor Kirk?
There's no meeting, no report.
Nothing, okay. Pottstown School District, Counselor Lindsay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I wish I had some good news. I guess it's not really bad, but Power had a hosting for the People's Hearing at the high school. I think it was last Thursday, I can't remember, but Joe was there, and parents, students, teachers. It was a nice little crowd there. And they had a chance to voice their concerns about the full and fair funding and how it works, and how it affects them. I just want to give one little shout out to Laura Johnson, because her speech was really good, and she made me cry because this journey that we still going through, and the school is still not funded. But advocates have been doing this, have been fighting for PA legislators to support the fair funding. And the courts ruled in February to fix the funding. So by fixing it, they got a committee to address the problem. So basically, we still stuck, okay? Now, on February the 19th of next year, we're looking to go out again with Power protests, do what we got to do for another event. I will continue to keep you guys posted with this. Just keep our schools in your thought, not just Pottstown. I'm saying Pottstown because we live here, but it's not just us. It's Philadelphia, Lancaster. There are other schools that are hurting for funding, and Harrisburg, they going back and forth, and that's why it's important to vote. You got to vote. You got to vote November, guys. You got to vote, because we put people in Harrisburg and they not listening to us, and we have the voices and we vote them in. So that's my soapbox for school board,
Thank you.
school district, sorry.
And from our solicitor, Mr. Garner, how will you be enlightening us?
Well, Mr. Whean, thank you. Since we are having a budget presentation, thought the topic tonight would just be an overview of the budget process and the time frames and requirements that are outlined in the Borough Code. You guys know that the budget is basically a planning tool. You project your revenues and your anticipated expenses for the next year. The budget goes hand in hand with the taxing ordinance, which basically funds the budget. The Borough Code is relatively specific with the requirements of what you have to do and when you have to do it. That's not like that in all legislation. We're required to have a draft budget in place 30 days before it's adopted. I suspect that you will be seeing a draft budget or the overview of the budget tonight, so that requirement will be met. The code requires you to adopt the budget by December 31st, and you're allowed to do that by motion. Typically, we adopt our budget at the last meeting of council in December, so we meet that requirement. There's also notifications that the code requires, and both are 10-day notices. One is it has to be, the final draft has to be available for inspection 10 days prior to any action taken by council. And the second requirement is that the notice that the budget is available for review also has to be published in a paper of general circulation, and we do that every year. The tax ordinance then funds the budget. You would adopt that at your last meeting of council, like you normally do. And there's one little kicker this year. After every municipal election, which typically would be an even-numbered year, council is allowed to open the budget, change the budget. And really what that means is, frankly, change the tax ordinance, because in theory, new councilors could be elected in November and may have issues with what the seated council did at the end of the year. So next year, by law, you're permitted to open the budget, and you have till February 15th to make any changes to the budget or taxing ordinance you want to do. So that's kind of the overview of the timing. We've been always very diligent in making sure all those timeframes are satisfied, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this exciting topic of budgets.
Anything? Any?
Don't have a question right now, but I may in the future.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Garner. And for our mayor's report, Mayor Henrik?
Good evening. All right, I'm checking the time because September was really busy. We are having a contest. World Kindness Day is November 13th. I am bringing back our Random Acts of Kindness Challenge. Council members, if you check your emails, I have sent you all an email with a Google Doc that you can enter information. We're going to do a challenge between the wards. Research shows that helping others can be good for our mental health, reduce stress, improve our emotional well-being, and benefit our physical health. So here are some examples of what random acts of kindness can be.
Okay.
Hold the door for someone, leave an extra tip, love on some shelter animals, donate blood, write a card or an encouraging note for someone, help a neighbor, compliment someone, donate to a cause, pick up trash. Thank you, Kyle. Let someone else ahead in line, either in car or foot traffic. Have a conversation with someone who's experiencing homelessness. There are so many things you can do. So here are the rules. October 5th, tomorrow, we're starting to midnight, November 13th. To enter, you must perform a random act of kindness, post it on social media, email your council person with all of your information, name, address, email, a description of what you did and how it made you feel, and then that council person will enter it on a Google Doc. And we will tally on November 14th, and the ward with the most racks, rack is R-A-K, random act of kindness, will get bragging rights for a year, and a token of appreciation, which we will figure out at a later time. So if you, please consider promoting on social media and use hashtag RAK Pottstown. And so I've made this very simple. just do the acts and email your council person. If you don't know your council person, just email a council person, and they will put the information in, and we will confirm the ward. So, good luck, and hopefully we break our record from 2018. I think we can.
Ward 2, you're the biggest, just so you know.
All right, since last time, I had the privilege of speaking to the leadership Tri-County class of 2024 again, about lessons in leadership and my leadership journey. It was nice to see a lot of people that work in the borough attending that leadership class. So, Strive has a mentoring program. I attended the training for the middle school. By the way, if you haven't been into our middle school, which I haven't really walked around there, but it is amazing. The sound, tech, music, stage, DJ, podcasting equipment, studios that they have like created that through Strive and the initiatives of other members in the community, it's amazing. Like, I just want to learn how to podcast just so I can be in that cool room. Like, very cool. We had beautiful weather for Schuylkill River Trail Ride for the River. It was a lot of fun. I signed up for the 4 and just kind of decided to keep going because it was such a gorgeous day. So I encourage all of you to take advantage of our trails, and I hope to see more participation next year. That followed Can Jam at Sly Fox. It was nice to see a lot of friends and families out at Sly Fox enjoying the day with great music. Beer, friends, Burke Myers in a kilt. I mean, what could be better? Lisa Vanny and I spent a lot of time together last month. We met with county commissioners, access services, and other community organizations to get a better understanding of the county's homeless encampment response practice guidelines, which are based on local and national strategies to address homelessness. We also spent time visiting the encampments and speaking to some of the homeless residents. I will just say it was a very sobering experience, meeting men and women and hearing their stories, especially the fact that many of them are what I would call the working poor, work at the hospital, American Keg, all sorts of places in the borough, and can't afford a place to live. So thank you, Councilor Vanny, for going with me. Unfortunately, due to illness, I was unable to attend the Veterans Community Day, but I want to thank all the organizers who made the event possible, and especially for the last-minute venue change. That was pretty impressive. I don't know if Lieutenant Morrissey is here, but I wanted to thank him again for presenting another excellent elder fraud workshop that was at the Senior Center about AI and deepfake. And it was interesting that later on in the news, Tom Hanks, I don't know if you saw, but he got deep-faked by AI, and someone used his likeness for a dental plan without his consent. So AI can mimic voices, AI can mimic caller ID, AI can mimic photos. So I suggest you screen calls. You can always hang up, call the person back on the number that you know is theirs, that you have saved in your phone. Or go on the company's website and make sure that it is the actual company's website. Please check the address. And Chase Bank is having a scam right now. I just got hit. Somebody tried to open a card or something in my name, so they're sending around. I heard some people in the borough are getting this, so if you get something from Chase, make sure to check your credit. I want to wish Councilwoman Vanny a very happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
She celebrated her 29th birthday on the 29th.
All right.
So I just want to say thank you, happy birthday. I want to thank Rita Paez and Centro Cultural Latinos Unidos for organizing the 9th Annual Latin Festival. Put a lot of work into this event, and it really showed, so thank you. I donated blood in Stowe. There's a national blood shortage, so if you could please go to the American Red Cross website for available appointments. I know tomorrow the YMCA has appointments available from 2 to 7. So tomorrow, Thursday the 5th, at the YMCA, they're still looking for blood donors and Power Red donors. Oh, and I just came from the Rivet for the Clusters Fall fundraiser, and it was so good to see everyone. I don't think I've seen everyone unmasked since 19. So it was, had a great crowd over there, and I'd like to announce they have new evening hours for their pantry, which have been extremely helpful. So on Wednesdays now, you can go to the Cluster Pantry from 2 to 6:30 p.m. They are still open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9:30 to 12:15. All right, how much time do I have? All right, so that was last month. So coming up, and I will let you know, if you have not seen the fall newsletter from Parks and Rec, just go to the website and open the fall newsletter. Most of this is in there. They do an exceptional job of doing the calendar and putting in all these events, and there's hyperlinks, like you can click on those things. So when I say them here, you can't really click on anything, but if you go to, and you can also sign up, so it sends it to you automatically. So it was a good newsletter, so thank you. All right. Tickets are on sale now for Addams Family Musical at Steel River, 10:13 to 10:29. You can get them online. October 14th and the 15th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. is Haunted Woods for teens and adults at the Alt House Arboretum. They warn, please don't bring little children. It is apparently really scary. Also on 10/14 is the North End Swim Club. It is their 4th annual Fall Fest. They have pony rides, games, basket raffles, food. It's a really good time. I always am the one to draw the raffle tickets and get the kids involved. So come on out. And I don't have a time for that. Sorry. Also on 10/14, Rivet is having their Oktoberfest, which apparently is all day, 1:30 to close, multiple bands, food and drinks. Farm, don't forget, is on Saturday, 10/14 and 10/28. We also have Spooky Golf, multiple nights, from 5:30 to 10:30 at night. Fridays and Saturdays in October, I think 21st, 27th, and 28th. Also on October 20th is the Halloween Fest at the library. I encourage you all to attend. The History and Haunts of Pottstown, which is benefiting the farm, is on 10/20 and 10/21, 6, 7, and 8 o'clock. You can learn some spooky history about Pottstown, and followed by a toast with a ghost at the Elks Club, and tickets are on sale at pottstownfarm.org. I'm excited because this is the first year I'm able to go, so I'm going to go on the 21st at 6 if anyone would like to join me. They have another 7 and an 8, so. Also on the 21st is Cheesetoberfest, which is benefiting the senior center from 12 to 3 at Riverfront Park. I will be judging along with Joe Cerisi and Scott Bentley again. So come out, it's a great time, and if you love cheese, I mean, it's amazing grilled cheese, so. YWCA, Week Without Violence, is 10/16 through 10/21. On 10/21, they're ending their week without violence in a block party from 11 to 2. So every year, YWCA sets aside 1 week in October to raise awareness, and it's a global movement to end violence against women and girls. And it's a week to raise awareness and elevate survivor voices and end gender-based violence. They will also be restoring the street mural earlier that week, so please go to their website if you would like to volunteer to help them do that. On the 21st, again, Haunts on High, from 12 to 4 at the Clock Tower. It's from High Street and Hanover to the library, trick-or-treating, face painting, presented by Pottstown Community Arts. if council says it's okay, we may have a Halloween parade on 10/22. More on that to come. 10/27, 5 to 7:30 at the Ricketts Center is the trunk or treat. Please call if you would like to be a trunk or just come out and support the kids. It's a good time. On the 28th at 4 to 7 at Manatawny Park at the King Street entrance. They're doing the second annual trunk or treat by Sarita Jones Starks. 10/28 at 12 p.m. Soul Joel's is having their Halloween theme Legs and Eggs drag brunch. And Saturday, October 29th, Hobart's Run is having their run by the river 5K fundraiser. It's their biggest fundraiser and they need participants. Registration begins at 8, the race begins at 9. Wear a costume. You can get prizes for like best costume and most, ingenious costume. And you can also get prizes, apparently, because it's a race, if you run fast and qualify in your age category. So I am going to be Beetlejuice. So I may do the 5K if somebody would like to join me. Walk the 5K. Of course, October 31st is Halloween. Trick-or-treating will begin at 5:30 to 8. And if I missed anything, I'm so sorry. Please go to Borough website, go to Parks and Rec, go to the newsletter, check Facebook. There's lots of things happening. There's so many things I didn't mention, so we don't have all night. I do have one announcement, though. I want to thank Kyle in our Public Works Department. Monday was trash day, and I was really proud of myself. I put it out the night before. And went to get blood, came back, everybody's trash was gone but mine. And so bummed. And I called Public Works, and I asked who I was speaking to, Kyle. Kyle said he'd take care of it. By the end of that night, the trash was gone. Kyle called me the next day to follow up to see if everything had been taken care of. So I was extremely impressed by that customer service, so thank you, Kyle. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you.
That was a lot, Mayor.
I know, I'm tired.
Good.
Okay, and for the manager's report, Mr. Keller?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Some brief updates tonight because a lot of my updates are going to be contained in the budget report. Just want to second the mayor's comment on the newsletter. If you could, definitely check it out. And to receive notifications on when new editions come out or things are added, sign up for our notifications on www.pottstown.org. Just another reminder, the Schuylkill River Passenger Rail Association board meeting is going to be at 3 p.m. on October 23rd here in Pottstown. It'll be an in-person meeting at Montgomery County Community College North Hall. We'll be discussing some of the efforts that are underway here in Pottstown to plan for a future stop here. And then we'll be touring the future train station site after the meeting. The public is welcome to attend, as well as elected officials. And reminder that since Monday is a holiday, our regular Monday council meeting will be moved to Tuesday, October 10th. On September 26th, I'm happy to report that staff held a successful Limerick Generation Station emergency drill. There was a FEMA observer on hand who indicated that they were very pleased with our response. We also met with the Low Show, the European Car Show, for a debrief, and there was lots of feedback, relatively few issues that they ran into this year. And I am happy to confirm that they will return again next year for Labor Day weekend. So that concludes my report.
Very good. At this time, I would like to add something to your report. And this came to me. This is the final report for Federal Transit Administration Triennial Review of Pottstown. And it's quite lengthy, but in there, they report to me that Pottstown staff was very thorough and accommodating during their review, and we thank them for their cooperation. We look forward to our continued partnership moving forward. So that's how the Transit Authority looks at us, and good staff.
Absolutely, and a lot of credit goes to Courtney High, who is the main person administering that program on behalf of the borough, so props to her.
Okay, good. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney.
All right, next, speaking of our staff, we're going to have a presentation on the 2024 budget.
All right, thank you.
Ready?
All right.
Push the button.
Push the button up. Yes.
There we go. Now it's working. All right, good evening, everyone. So tonight, we're happy to present our 2024 budget presentation. This is our first draft of the budget. So following this meeting, we will go back. We will sharpen our pencils and see what else we can shave off to try to make it as the most efficient as possible. So for the purposes of tonight, we're here to show you where we're at, take any questions, comments, or concerns that you might have, but we are not asking you to vote on anything here tonight. So this is just a informational presentation on the snapshot of where we're at currently. So overall, we'll get right down to it. We're looking at a deficit of $504,259. That would equate to a total tax increase of 4.93%, or an average annual tax bill increase of $70.11. The main items that are driving some of the deficit that we're looking at here are wage increases, health insurance, as well as other insurance, liability insurance increases, and then making sure that we maintain our capital savings plan, which is something we started in 2020 that has been very helpful to helping us to smooth out large increases in expenses when we have to go through large capital purchases for necessary infrastructure projects. And then the other is our other post-employment benefits funding, kind of all adding up in concert with our assessments staying relatively level, which we'll get into. So some of the highlights for this year, again, I touched on the assessments. They're remaining relatively unchanged. $758 million, so it's a decrease of $1.4 million from 2023. That sounds like a lot, but in a $758 million, it's not anything drastic like we've seen in previous years. One caveat that I'm going to add to this assessment is that whenever we talk about this tonight, is that it does not include $20 million of assessed value due to an ongoing court appeal for property tax exempt status of Tower Health Pottstown Hospital. So because that appeal is going on, it could go, certainly we're hopeful that it'll be favorable to us, but at this point, it could go either way, and we are receiving that payment in protest from the hospital, and it's being held in escrow. So we're not counting that in our assessed value until we get a final court decisions for the purposes of our 2024 budget. Local enabling taxes remain consistent with the 2023 budget. We've got slight increases built in for transfer tax and earned income tax. Those have been steadily increasing each year for the past couple years. Permit revenue, including building permits, were increased, but they remain conservative and just slightly above what we budgeted for last year. You will see that we are looking to exceed a lot of our budgeted revenue items for 2023. So we think that that's a safe bet, sticking close to those for next year. Police wages, under the fifth year of the 5-year collective bargaining agreement, they're slated to get a 3% increase for 2024. And the AFSCME union wages, those are still being negotiated. So hopefully in the next month or so, we'll be able to have a final number on those. There are no new positions that impact any of the funds other than the water and the sewer funds. And those added positions are 2 utility treatment plant operators, 1 each at the water plant and the sewer plant. So those funds, 06 and 08, are not funded through taxes. They are funded through your water bill, your sewer bill and your water bill, which hasn't really changed for quite some time now. So they've been doing a good job of keeping expenses pretty steady there and keeping revenues coming in to keep the the utility bills steady. Minimum municipal obligation, we talked about that a couple months ago. These are for our pension plan contributions. 2.7 million we have for that. Overall increase of $60,000 isn't too bad when we've looked at other years where we've seen significant increases. We did receive additional state aid funding. This is primarily due because the main factor in the calculation is that it's based on the number of employees you have in that program. So, we did add a couple police officers, some other staff members last year that would contribute to that. They also, I think, changed their funding formula a little bit so that we're now getting a little bit more from state aid as well. The 401A, so if you recall, I think back in 2020, 2021, for AFSCME union and management employees, we no longer offer a pension plan, and we now offer a more traditional 401A defined contribution plan. So that helps to offset our future MMO expenses in the pension. But we do have a reoccurring cost for that, and we're budgeting that at $95,000 for 2024. Major capital that impacts the funds, there's other capital that we're going to show you, but they're coming out of our capital plans. But major capital purchases include 2 police vehicles and a document management system for the police department, and a jetvac truck, which is used for our sewer lines to clean out the sewer lines. What we were able to do, and this is paid out of the sewer fund, but what we were able to do with this truck, because it's kind of a hybrid, it can actually clean out stormwater inlets, and it can clean out leaves from the top of inlets. So this will have a dual purpose, and not only, this won't be the truck that, would allow us to do a full leaf cleanup program, but it will allow us, instead of having employees going out and shoveling off the inlets, it'll allow them to use this truck in a more efficient and more timely manner to go out and suction, vacuum the leaves from the inlets and in other spots where they're really building up and creating drainage issues, and that's in addition to the regular cleaning of our sewer lines. So it's kind of a nice hybrid approach to accomplishing 2 things there.
So you said that was paid out of the sewer fund?
Yeah, because mainly that's used for jetting out and cleaning out. We have a maintenance program for our sewer lines, and mainly it's used for that.
So it's already paid then, it's already paid from the...
No, this is what we're proposing as a part of our budget. Yep. And then also for 2024, we are proposing to create a grant program that would repair sidewalks damaged by street trees. We would propose to dedicate a total of $100,000 to this in 2024, with $50,000 from the general fund and $50,000 from ARPA grant funds. The plan for this is it would be very specific in terms of who could qualify for it. It would be on a first serve first come, first served basis, and it would be for replacement or repair of sidewalks or tree wells that are damaged by street trees. It does not include cutting down a street tree. It doesn't include replanting a street tree. It just addresses the sidewalk damage that is caused by the street tree. So the way that we're looking at it now, and we still have some details to work out, but the main concept of the program is that the grant would only be applicable to residential owner-occupied units with low to moderate income as defined by the U.S. Census Bureau for Montgomery County. So the moderate household income, the median household income for Montgomery County is $95,000, and I think that was 2020. So I have to see what that would be for this year. So a lot of residents would actually, residents that need it, in my opinion, would actually qualify for these funds to repair their sidewalks. This could include the beveling of the edges. When you have a offset in the sidewalk, it could include beveling the edges. It could include enlarging the tree well around the tree, where you still can maintain a 3-foot sidewalk width, or it could involve actually relocating the sidewalk further away from the tree, or application of flexible pavement materials like asphalt that would be painted to match the color of the sidewalk. So we thought that that would be a good way to address some of the property owner concerns that they have with the street trees. But I think really, you know, when you drill down to it, it's not as much an issue that owners have with the street tree, but the damage that they cause. So this attempts to get at the root, no pun intended, of that problem. Just getting back to the Pottstown real estate assessments, here you can see where we are. Wow, over the past 20 years now, we got this going out to 2004. You can see that there was a couple decades there where we were in really steep declines. Since 2019, we've kind of leveled off a little bit, which has been great news. 2017, when you see that big drop, that's where some of the drop came from the Pottstown hospital. The dotted red line indicates if we were successful, or if the appeal is, by the hospital is unsuccessful, and the tax status is upheld, that's where we would be looking at for assessment, somewhere around $780 million. All right, and this is a slide that we present every year. So when people talk about taxes in the borough, it's important to remember that the school taxes are the grand majority of your tax bill. In fact, they are 68% of the tax bill, while the borough portion is 25%, and the county portion is approximately 7%. So if your house is worth $200,000, it'd have an assessed value of $100,000. Your real estate, school real estate bill would be approximately $4,200, whereas your borough bill would be 25% of that, or approximately $1,500. All right, and now I'll turn it over to Marley Boone, our Director of Finance, who really put the lion's share of work into putting the budget together with the directors. And take it away, Marley.
Thank you. This slide illustrates that in 2024, there will be 332 tax-exempt parcels, an increase of 2 from 2023. And if all Pottstown exempt parcels were to pay taxes, we would generate an extra revenue in the amount of $2.1 million. And those properties include borough-owned and school-owned properties. Some trends that help shape the 2024 budget include local enabling taxes have increased about 4% with the earned income and local service taxes. We've seen the volume of property sales decrease. However, higher sale prices of property, with the higher sale prices of properties, the transfer tax has remained consistent with 2022 and 2023. And you can see from May 22 to May 23, the average sale price is $220,000, and that was across 440 properties. Justin mentioned about business license and building permits. They're up respectively for this year. And then in the beginning of 2023, the Finance Committee elected to invest funds in higher yield accounts. And we've seen the interest earnings from those funds increase substantially. The general fund budget for 2024 is about $16 million with a deficit of $403,159, and this includes a reserve transfer of $100,000. With this, the annual tax bill increase would be about $56.56. And just to note that that reserve funding is a direct result of the interest earned on those high yield investment accounts. Some major capital purchases for the general fund budget include one new police vehicle, and the other is being funded in our capital savings plan, and a upgrade for the police document management system, which will span over 2024 and 2025. They are looking for grant funding to offset the cost of that upgrade. Justin also mentioned the creation of the grant program for the street tree sidewalk repairs. And then we are maintaining our capital savings contribution in the amount of $100,000 and the OPEB funding in the amount of $250,000.
Yeah, and let me just add for anyone that's not aware, so the general fund, I think gets that term because it encompasses a lot of different departments, but primarily what the general fund encompasses is the police department, public works, and L&I, and then other portions of administration and finance for the most part. There's some other things that are in there as well, but those are kind of the main drivers of the general fund.
We talked about the estimated assessment for 2024. We're at $758 million. That amounts to $7.4 million for general fund revenue. And Justin talked about the ongoing court appeal for the hospital. Just to give you an idea, if that case is favorable, we will gain an additional $300,000 in tax revenue, and $210,000 of that is for general fund.
All right, so we talked a lot about capital, and one of the things that we did in 2020 is we finally had the luxury to be able to start saving for the future in the borough, which we hadn't done for a long time. And it's really starting to bear fruit right now, because you're going to see across multiple funds, not just the general fund, but also the fire fund and Parks and Recreation Fund. You know, we've set aside a little bit each year so that we can, sometimes we can't control when projects happen due to grants and timing and other factors and permitting and other factors that come into play. So sometimes these projects or these needs hit in all one year. And because we weren't setting aside for that in our capital savings in the past, we would come to you and all of a sudden, you know, we would see like a 300% jump in a particular line item. When we knew we were going to have this expense at some point, we could have smoothed that out by saving for it little by little. So that's what we're doing with the capital plan. We think that this is important to keep funding. And, you know, you will see in 2024 that, just get the number here, that we are actually slated to spend $343,000 as a result of kind of our savings over the years. We haven't spent that every year, but 2024 is a high year. We've got a police car, we do that every 2 years out of capital savings. We've got a boiler replacement. You know, this building is over 20 years old at this point, so it's time to start repairing a lot of these things. We already did or we're slated to do the HVAC in this building. It's ordered, but because of the supply chain, it hasn't arrived yet. But that was done through the capital plan in 2023. But you can see we've got money in there in 2024 for stormwater arch repairs. We got a roof coating that we want to do here in Borough Hall as well. So those are kind of some of the main things that we've got coming up for 2024 that we would like to draw from our capital reserves. So this isn't a part of the general fund budget. This is money that we would take out of our capital reserves that we have set aside over the years and planned for. The next area that I want to mention, last year we presented the American Rescue Plan Act. So the borough did receive funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, and we put together a plan to spend down that money going into 2026 when we're supposed to exhaust that funding. So we do have our grant matches are all coming out of the American Rescue Plan Act. We've got $250,000, so that really helps offset, because a lot of times that would come out of the general fund and that would add to our deficit. We've got 2 stormwater outfalls at Schuylkill River that need to be rebuilt. We've got $1 million approximately repair on Moser Road Bridge. We got a $448,000 grant for that, and we would take another $500,000 from the ARPA to finish that repair, which will help elongate the lifespan of that and the usefulness of that bridge before, you know, something more serious would happen that would cause us to do a total bridge replacement. We have the $50,000 in there for the sidewalk repair program, and then we also have $300,000 to repave and seal our public parking lots. They haven't had attention for a long time, and we are also looking at the airport. There needs to be some TLC to some of the buildings up there in terms of exterior painting. We do need to pave the maintenance hangar. That should be paving, not painting there. And then also, in order to elongate the life of the roofs at the old airplane hangars, we need to coat those as well. So that's what we're looking at. We may not spend all that in 2024, but at least those are the projects that we have targeted, and at least, you know, a lot of those would be prioritized for 2024.
The Parks and Rec Fund budget for 2024 is just above $1 million with a deficit of $62,228. It would be an average tax increase of $8.73. And this deficit is drawn mostly with capital savings funding, which was started in 2021 to prepare for large infrastructure projects like those listed, the 4 projects listed for 2024. And as a result, not increase, have high increase millages. And because of the steps that the borough has taken, the Parks and Rec Department can complete multiple large projects in 2024 with a minor tax increase. So this just illustrates the Parks and Rec 5-year capital plan. Their expenditures for next year are $251,000 for those 4 projects. And then future expenditures are included for the repaving of Trilogy BMX parking lot and Pollock Park master plan. And then also to note, Ricketts funding did increase by $5,000 from $45,000 to $50,000.
And that's per our agreement that we have with them.
The library budget request for 2024 is $212,000, $212,202, with a deficit of $38,872. It would be an annual increase of $4.82. And the proposed budget increase is a result of additional funding requested by the library. Executive Director Mindy Lipsky will provide further information regarding that request. The trash fund, the budget is $3.6 million with a deficit of $359,000. The deficit is covered by reserves. And then we will propose a trash rate increase of 10%, which equates to an annual increase of $34.71, or $8.68 per quarter. The reserve transfer to cover the deficit decreased by about $46,000 from the previous year. And we are working on a plan to gradually reduce that deficit over the next 5 years without putting too much of a burden on property owners. The debt service budget is $264,000. It's balanced for 2024 and therefore will not require a tax increase. The tax revenue funds, the bond for the Borough Garage facility, which will be completed in 2028. And per the amortization schedule, we saw the highest peak this year, and then it will decline over the next 5 years until completion.
We are going to look at ways that we might be able to pay that off early. There's some strategies that we did with the authority that could also be applicable in this case too.
The fire budget is about $2 million. It's balanced for 2024 and will require no tax increase. And we will maintain contributions to the capital savings plan. The plan is presented to you. Expenditures for 2024 are total $160,000. They include equipment and maintenance upgrades, a new vehicle for fire inspectors, and facility upgrades. And then we are also planning for the future expenses of an engine truck in 2028 and a ladder truck in 2037.
So we're putting yearly in 2024 we're putting away $200,000 for future fire needs, and then we're hoping that'll increase then in 25 and 26.
The chart just illustrates the effects of tax increases over the past 20 years. And you can notice the sharp incline in taxes following little to no tax increases. So we found that if we increase taxes minimally each year, it helps to ease the financial burden of the taxpayers compared to a bigger spike.
Yeah, so for example, I mean, if you look at 2013 to 2017, we were able to hold taxes pretty much level with no increase, but we could only rob Peter to pay Paul for so long. 2018 came and we had to increase 12%, and then 19 came and we had to increase 9%. So if you look back to 2005 to 2007, which was before the financial crisis, there were zeros there too, and then a big jump in 2007. So.
The final slide summarizes the funds. It's a $64 million budget with a $500,000 deficit. This would result in a 9.3% tax increase, or
4.93.
4.93. I apologize.
I was going to say, what's
And an additional $70.11 per year based on a property assessed at $100,000.
Yeah, so we still have work to do. I think we're gonna be able to bring this down further. Like I said, we've got a couple big numbers out there that we're still waiting to hear back on. But I think we're, hopefully starting off at a good place with some room to work towards. So at this point, I'd be happy to take any questions or comments from the councilors or mayor on the budget.
So basically, the revenue line is what each department head requested for next year? 9 in the expense line, all those seem to match. Are those what
Yes.
department head requested for next year?
Yeah, and where there wasn't, and where the department head didn't have enough revenue, that's where the deficit comes in. So for example, in the Parks and Rec Fund, in order to be able to maintain our capital savings of 65,000, we incurred a deficit. So we could have had a zero deficit there.
Well, that's if you.
But we wouldn't be putting away money for the future that we might need.
Well, that's if you granted each department head what they asked for.
Correct, and that's why this is a
So-
process.
Right. I mean,
We'll go back after this, and
Okay.
we'll refine that. We had a first round of meetings, and a second round with some, and then we'll go back and refine this further.
is there going to be a line in future handouts where you can see what the budget was last year for each one of those departments?
Yeah, we could provide that to you.
Yeah, that'll be useful.
Yeah.
Johnston, you had a slide that had the assessment showing from 2000 to 2023, a big negative. I'm just confused as to what was the rationale for including that in the presentation, because taxes aren't collected solely on assessments. What happens is that the assessment is multiplied by the common level ratio, which is changed every year. So for example, you had something, let's say it was whatever, $100 million. And how you calculate the taxes, and you multiply that by the then tax rate, or the then common level ratio in 2000, which was 1.07, to get, and then you multiply that by the millage, and that's the taxes that you generate. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But what you left out in that slide is the impact of the common level ratio, which changes, which in 2000, it was 1.07, and in 2023, it's 2.82, almost 3 times the multiplier.
Right.
So it's not that giant, scary slope that you're looking at. You're still looking at assessment times the common level ratio, which is going to be a flatter graph. So I don't know what the purpose of showing the.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose really is to show a trend. I mean, there's no question that the trend has been down. There's no question that the trend has stabilized over the past.
But that's what the common level ratio does, is an equalizer. It's a state-generated equalizer for each particular county.
Yeah, but it usually does not work in our favor.
It's, okay, but you just gotta multiply that number. It's not just a bare number. Okay, you're not multiplying that by the millage to get the tax rate. You're not. You multiply it by that and then the tax rate, and then the millage. So I don't, like I
Right.
said.
Yeah, the common level ratio plays into it. We'd have to look at, see how much that really plays into it, though.
Okay. I just, like I said, I saw that, I'm like, that's just not how taxes are calculated. You gotta add the other thing in, which has almost tripled since 2000, which is the beginning of the grade. So, which will equalize, which will make that precipitous drop that you have demonstrated not so precipitous. It will be more, it might even be like this. If you actually did that calculation and added that as another slide to show what the actual, what we would actually be multiplying for the taxes, you might see something different than the, oh my God, look at this. Okay.
Yeah, again, we're trying to show overall trend, but we can definitely look at that. Marley's making some notes and see what it would look like with common level ratio applied to that. Yeah.
I mean, that's how you collect them. That's how you calculate the taxes. So, all right, cool.
Justin, I may have missed it. I apologize. Was the MMO for the pension in there?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was the 2.7 million approximately.
Okay, sorry.
And that's the combined for police and.
And non-uniform?
Non-uniform.
Okay.
Yep,
And it was 2.2? 2.7, okay.
yeah.
I just have a general question. Does the Pottstown Police service any surrounding communities as far as protection services?
I mean, I can't, not primarily, no.
Okay.
I mean,
It's like
they may
they're-
be called in for assistance. I don't want to speak out of term. Mick is here if you want to chime in.
Do we service any townships?
Any surrounding areas?
No.
Other than Pottstown?
Just in the borough.
Okay.
We do provide mutual aid, they ask.
Yeah, that's the word, mutual aid, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so no, not like, the fire service where we're now taking on West Pottsgrove. No, we don't have like a regional police department,
Okay.
but, you know, in times of dire need, yeah, we're gonna help our neighbor out from time to time.
I look forward to seeing more on this, but I'm really glad to see something in there about the trees and the sidewalks. That's a big problem for a lot of people, and I get a lot of calls on that. So I'm really glad to see that there's something in there to try to help that problem.
Yeah, it's not gonna solve everything, but
No.
it's a start, right? And, you know, we tried to right size it so that it really impacts the people that need it the most.
I think the number is a good range.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely keep my fingers crossed that the judgment of the hospital will go in our favor. I remember when they had an 18, that was
That should-
horrible. I didn't care for that at all. And I guess the payment and protest that was just for this year that would be able to collect on.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're collecting it, but we're holding it in escrow.
Depending on,
We're
yeah,
not-
it's-
We're not
Yeah, because
budgeting
the
on
court
that
just
money.
reversed. So just remember, the appeal goes back, I believe, to 2017. And right now, the status of the case is that the Commonwealth Court reversed our county court to find that the hospital should be subject to real estate tax. So the hospital naturally filed a petition for allowance of appeal to the Supreme Court. That's still pending. We suspect they'll hear the appeal because there were different cases coming out of Chester and Montgomery County, but we don't know for sure. But if they decline to hear it, then we win. If they accept the appeal, then we're probably looking at another couple years till we get an outcome.
Do they have to pay
It-
if it stretches for that long? couple
Yes,
years?
yes, they'll go back to 2017 if we're successful.
But what we have in escrow right now is just for a year from the court decision.
Correct.
Correct, because before they had no obligation to pay because they were found to be
And that will
exempt.
continue until the case is resolved. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Anyone else? Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
Very good. Now, Pottstown Regional Public Library. Your financial support presentation.
Hey, everybody. I won't take up too much time because I did talk a little bit earlier, but I did make a presentation. The Pottstown Regional Public Library services Pottstown Borough, Upper, Lower, and West Pottsgrove Townships. In looking over the financials over the last 20 years, we haven't really requested an increase in funding. So I had created a presentation for each borough that shows what funding has been created, has happened for the last 10 years, and asked for an increase based on current costs and inflation. If you want to go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. I'm going to try and cut this a little shorter for you. If you want to see the mission and vision statements on our website, so yay. Go ahead,
And
Justin.
Mindy can send this out after
Absolutely.
if anybody needs it.
I did set some goals for 2024 and beyond. I did start doing this last year. Part of the annual report that I started creating does go over what has happened in the past years, and we're looking forward to improving our library services and our library building. Our library building was built in 1915 and has been not cared for by previous administrations, and we have an envelope problem. I just got an estimate last week from an envelope company, and it is going to cost us between $800 and $1 million just to repair the envelope. We also have a drainage issue in our back parking lot. We are waiting for the civil engineers to give us an estimate on that. My general estimation to repair the full building and to renovate the attic space to provide additional space for patrons to be able to use, we probably need somewhere between $7 and $10 million. So we will be doing capital campaigns, and but before all that can happen, we have to stabilize our operating costs. You can go to the next slide. So what's changed in the library is we revised all of our services. We have increased our, the community's needs have increased since the pandemic, and our costs have risen dramatically. So the average inflation rate of 31.8% from 2013 to today, we really haven't had any increases in municipality support for over 10 years for any of the municipalities. Our formal resolutions with each township and municipality date back to 1986 to 1988. And there is a need for fair wages due to the inflation. Most of my staff has master's degrees and lives with their parents because they can't afford housing. And I need that to change for my staff. So, and I don't get paid well either. I am the lowest paid executive director in all the Montgomery County library systems, which is fine. I'd rather let my staff get more money first. But the state is changing the library formula, and they are asking us to submit the dates of our most recent resolutions. So as part of this process, I'm going to be talking with Justin about seeing if we can get our resolution just firmed up and re-updated, but that's a separate topic, so you can go to the next slide. I know this is tiny. This is some of the positive changes that we've made over the past 20 months since I took over as executive director. I won't read this all to you, but one of the couple of the highlights that I'd like to point out is we've established a cooperative relationship with both school districts, both Pottstown School District and Pottsgrove School District. And by Thanksgiving of this year, every student will have a library card connected to their student ID. It will be a wonderful access for the students. They can access our databases and any books and materials that they need to help with literacy and education. And I think that that's going to be a great advantage to our students. We were voted the best library by the Mercury, so yay. And I did mention before, in here it says we're a Silver Star as of August, but we are now a Gold Star Library in the PA Forward program for Pennsylvania libraries. You can go to the next slide. Here's the current numbers overall. The expenses of the Pottstown Public Library with similar service areas to us generally goes 1.1 million to 2.1 million. Our entire service area is 45,318, which equals $24.27 per capita or per citizen to successfully run the library, and that does not include the building and maintenance that I explained a little bit before. The Pennsylvania Library Code recommends that municipalities supporting public libraries should provide a minimum of $5 per capita. I put the statute there. And the lion's share of our expenses is wages. That's, for most companies, that's what that is, 64% of our budget. is wages. We are struggling to currently pay our staff and administration about the 25th percentile of average wages. Most of our staff is making $12.25 per hour. Health insurance costs are going to go up. We do only have 6 full-time employees, and I do not take health insurance from the library. But that is going to be something that we're going to have to pay attention to next year. Next slide. Like I said, our building is 108 years old. We estimate needing, $1 million just to repair the envelope of the building. And any patron donations for the next few years, we're going to need to have to make sure that we create a capital fund. And also, we've not in the past had a reserve fund for building repairs. So I want to create an emergency fund and a capital improvement fund. I think you skipped one.
Oops.
No, you didn't. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, it looked like it skipped.
Skipped one, then I went back.
Okay. So these are the numbers for the Pottstown Borough, 2013 through 2023. So right now, we thank you so much for providing about $7.30 of the 24.27 for your 23,433 residents. You can go to the next slide. What we are liking for our municipalities to consider is, we need a little bit of assistance covering the basic costs for 2024 to remain the incentive level library and pay our staff a little bit more fairly. The estimated budget, which I've not finished yet, but I have preliminary numbers, is looking like 1.1 million, which again equals at 24.27 per capita. We're not asking for the full 24.27 unless, of course, that's what you want to do. But we are talking to the other municipalities as well. We know we have a millage here, which we're very grateful for, and we're going to be talking to the other municipalities. And we felt that going by the number of people in each of the townships is the most fair way to request funding, since it is covered by 4 different municipalities. And that's it. So I am willing to send these slides out. There is more slides in this deck. It talks about what the PA Forward program does and why we're a Gold Star library. But I'm really proud of our staff and where we've come in the last 20 months, and I really think that the library is a very important part of any community. So thank you for your time.
I agree with you. Thank you. The library is an asset.
Thank you.
We get a lot of use out of it, especially on rainy days in the summer where it's too outside.
It's where I get my books for the summer.
Okay, now, Pottstown Area Regional Recreation Committee.
All right, knock, knock.
Who's there?
A presentation about funding.
Presentation about funding who?
That's kind of a dad joke.
Do it in 3 minutes.
Now, this would be a time if you were my Cub Scouts, I'd tell you to take a stretch quick because you've had a lot of the same thing. It's a lot of important information to consider, and I'm going to give you more important information to consider. So that was your brief mental respite. Most of you are familiar with the park program, so I'm not going to take a lot of time on this. However, this is a 5-year funding commitment, and as such, it does warrant having the information put in front of you for your consideration. So I will make it quick, but also I don't want to rush through it because it is something important to consider. This is essentially a pitch for some of the funding you already see in the Fund 4 draft budget in front of you. So we're talking about a 5-year funding resolution to continue the Pottstown Area Regional Recreation Committee program. Right there, you see a picture of one of our neighbors' projects that was paid for with funding secured through Park. That is the boat dock in North Coventry. That's right across the street from Riverfront Park. That's something that our citizens can use as well, and you can see it's fully ADA accessible. So just an example of one of the successful projects. Next slide, please. So if you're not familiar, the park region is made up of 8 municipalities spanning 3 counties. The newest member to join us was in 2022. That's Washington Township. That brought us into Berks County. Below there you see the park municipalities listed, the current chair right there. So it's a collaborative program for the region, working together, sharing resources for the betterment of the region's parks and rec resources. Next page. These are our other partners. These are funding partners and operation partners. They also make this happen. Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation picks up half of the tab. The rest of municipalities pick up the remaining funds. It absolutely could not happen without the support of the Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation. Other than that, we have a history with the Pottstown Metropolitan Regional Planning Committee. We're formerly a subcommittee of that. We graduated from that a couple years ago when we became an intergovernmental cooperative agency. And the Schuylkill River Greenway Association, they provide office space and administration for our staffing. So essentially, we pay them and they administer the staff for park. Next slide. All right, and our primary expense is staffing for park. What the park program really equates to is a professional regional recreation planner. She has a number of duties. That is Patricia McCloskey, our current planner. Number of duties, but most importantly, she provides support for grant writing and acquisition for the 8 municipalities involved. You can see some of the information there on how successful that planning position has been at securing funding for the participating municipalities. With the addition of the 7th municipality, I believe it was, no, the 8th municipality, I'm sorry, we started an assistant for Patricia's position. That's a recreation assistant. That was already built into the existing funding resolution that we're operating on right now, which is going into its last year, hence talking about the next 5 years. We find that that is pretty important. Once you hit 8 municipalities, you're juggling a lot of information, a lot of projects. In this case, Ms. McCloskey really needed the assistance with keeping up with some of the other functions. So we found that to be very successful. All right, next page. All right, this is probably the part you're most interested. This is the return on your investment. As you can see right there, since it was organized in 2012, $4.9 million in grants has been secured through park participation. So that's grants that were written in part or whole by the park planner, formerly the park coordinator. And since 2019, that grant amount is $2.9 million. So that's our, our more current iteration since 2019. And you can see right there also the current municipality in cost is $9,600 per year from each municipality. The pie chart on your right shows what the return on that has been by municipality. You can see that we receive a good share on that. So about 23% of what was secured went to Pottstown projects. Next slide, please. Here's a list of some of those projects, what they are. You can see most recently completed projects for Pottstown that had park planner writing and the grants acquired were the Spruce Street Park, the Potts Drive basketball courts as well, and Washington West playground replacement. As of right now, I've got, let's see, I have 7 projects open right now. That's primary infrastructure projects. So those 7 projects are funded by 11 different grants. And of those 11 different grants, the majority of them have park planner writing on them. Most of the time, it depends on the size of the grant in my department, whether I work with Courtney High, the grants administrator, whether I work on my own, or whether I work with Tricia, or Tricia works on her own, or Tricia works with Courtney. Depends on the size of the grant and what's required. But collectively, we've been able to secure, like I said, currently 11 grants running open at the moment. Park has a lot to do with those. Next page, please. These are some of the other functions that Park has brought to us. As you can see, Park plays into the social media and marketing for the borough and the region. I think most visible up there, you'll recall the signal box mural projects. That is due through funds secured by Park grant as well. So that's a very visible improvement to our community that comes from this program. Next slide. These are the projects that are under development right now. Let's see, the most recent one on there you see from Pottstown is the park planner did some writing on our GTRP grant request of $250,000. That's to come on the heels of remediation in Pollock Park. And I would say Tricia did the majority of the writing on that one. And last slide, I believe. And then this would be what the funding resolution calls for. These are the contributions. What you're looking at right there are different models. The current partnership is 8 municipalities. The 8 municipalities are listed there. The year one annual contribution is noted as $8,494 per person, and then it climbs up to $9,595 in year 5. That's on the 8-partner model. If somebody were to drop out, you'd go to the 7-partner model. If somebody were to drop out, we'd go to the 6-partner model. And if somebody were to drop out and we went to 5 partners, there would be, a fundamental reassessment and discussion about whether we would continue the program or not and what that would look like. We don't really think that's a likelihood because we feel that the program is successful. Everybody's very pleased with it. We check in with partners regularly to make sure that that remains the case. But we do like to plan for any eventuality. And again, I'll note that at the bottom there, you can see that the lion's share of the pay is provided by Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation. So you'll have a resolution before you for your consideration to resolve to that 5-year funding resolution, and that will help us to proceed for the next 5 years with Park as it exists and continue to hopefully grow the program. I believe that should be it. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So in summary, it's safe to say, based on the historical numbers, we pay between $8,500, $9,500 to get a return on investment of $1 million over 5 years, 4 years.
That is certainly a good way of looking at it, yes. I mean, the amount of professional work that's required to get these funds is significant, and we have somebody with that institutional knowledge and those skills. So, yeah, when you have somebody of that caliber working for you, the funds are, I wouldn't say they're easy to acquire because that's a simplification, but a heck of a lot easier to acquire, yes.
Yeah, Patricia gave a presentation, about Park at regional planning, and everybody was very happy with Park and Patricia.
Thank you. Our parks look beautiful. And there's a lot of great events that happen there.
Well, thank you. We don't do it alone. We have a great maintenance staff and community partners, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Manatoni Green lease agreement.
Yes, so, yeah, I can take that. Let me just find my place here. So, yeah, basically, this is a similar lease to what we did last year at Manatoni Green for the vendor that was using the kitchen to produce honey. So this would be with a different vendor for organic foodstuff production. It'd be a 1-year lease. And they would operate during the off-season when Manatoni Green is not in operation. There's a renewal option for 2 additional 1-year periods by either party, and the rent stays pretty much the same at $4,800 a year.
Any questions? Okay, list that for Monday. First Amendment to the contract agreement.
Sure, so this has to do with our bus system here in the borough. We have a service agreement entered in 2020. Looks like there've been some changes as it relates to compensation, total compensation that can be paid by the FTA. And as a part of the triennial review, they're requiring us to put in a amendment to the contract stating the maximum payment for the contractor for a 3-year term and a 1-year extension shall not exceed 11 million. So that's, again, amended to be in line with the FTA and PennDOT standards.
Great, list that for Monday. And the Part Act 44 performance review.
Yeah, so this is all part of our triennial review, and this is a review that's done every 3 years on the bus system to look at ways it can improve for the future. And we're required to provide an action plan, and this action plan has to be adopted by council. So that is attached for your review, but basically what this spells out are different opportunities that the funding agencies would like us to take with the PART system. So there are recommendations in there focusing on 3 main areas: ridership, retention, and promotion, long-term financial sustainability, and then other opportunities for improvements.
Okay, put that on for Monday. And now, Mr. Garner, how about the zoning for North Hanover?
Sure, so this is the former Mercury Building. Technically, it's in a traditional town neighborhood zoning district, not in the downtown. So the applicant wants to put in a microbrewery in the building. So it requires zoning relief since it's not a permitted use, so.
I understand it's just a portion of the building.
Not the entire building, but
Big microbrewery before, but, so I'll double check with the people that live in the area, would be the New Hanover peeps, and see what they think about it. I doubt there'd be an issue.
This is the Mercury Building. Yep,
yeah.
okay.
So next, 920 Glasgow Street, I would encourage you to look at the application in some detail that's in your packet, but essentially, used to be the greenhouse and Levengood nursery, and so it's a rather large property. I think it's over an acre. And the applicant has some really interesting plans for what they'd like to do. It would be a mixed use, according to the application. There'd be a component of residential, but there would also be a commercial event space, commissary, and/or kitchen. So it would be a place of gathering potentially for food trucks or restaurants or things like that on a temporary basis. So obviously, we don't provide for that use in that district. It's certainly a unique and different approach, but they need zoning relief. So take a look at the application. I guess that would be Lisa's ward, yours?
Yep.
It's a very interesting idea. I want to go out to the property and actually look at it. I looked at it on Google Maps, and it does look, I read in here, like the parking wouldn't be a problem because they have an acre of land. Though I couldn't see behind the building, and I guess that's where the parking lot would be or the food trucks would be. There's a lot going on. It's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, the application had pictures of an outdoor event venue of what they thought it could be. I mean, it's not overly large, but it's certainly big enough that you could have, a gathering of folks to be there.
Yeah, I really would have liked to see them do it like within that space, more, what's the word I'm looking for? Similar to the space that they would be putting it in.
An idea.
But like I said, once I see behind the building, that might answer my questions.
And the drawback you always have as counsel is you're looking at an application which is just a sheet of paper with a description. The zoning hearing board will have the ability to have witnesses there and exhibits and obviously get a lot more information than we'll ever get because, we're not the hearing body. So again, this would be a decision you guys could make whether you take any action or just let the zoning hearing board decide based on the testimony and merits that are presented at the hearing.
Yeah, that was only one of my concerns too. I see it's very close to homes. So I would hope that they would talk to the people that live around there and that they would go to the zoning hearing.
And all of those folks would get notice in the mail of the hearing, so they'd have the right to appear and present their opinion on whether it's good or bad. Both of those hearings, by the way, are scheduled for October the 30th, so they've already been scheduled.
Okay.
The last one then is 337 West High Street. This is seeking permission, approval to have 2 storage containers on the property that exceed the size of accessory structures. That's been a common theme lately as far as businesses using these containers for storage rather than have buildings, but they exceed the size limit. And there's also some issues with signage that would exceed the size that's permitted. So both issues are variances, which the zoning hearing board would have jurisdiction on.
Very good. We'll act on those Monday. The YWCA art restoration.
Yes, so this is similar to what was done previously regarding the mural that they have on King Street. So it would be a 3-day closure. I know that the PD has, checked in with some of the impacted businesses and made sure that accommodations would be made so that they would have uninterrupted access, and they did approve the plan. This would be for maintenance of the mural as well as a community event or kind of block party.
Okay. Questions? All right, list that for Monday. And Halloween events.
Yeah, and just a note on this one, we are going to request a vote on this item after the public comment portion of the meeting. But yeah, this is now, we're glad to hear that Hobart's Run stepped up for the event and the necessary funding was received to continue the tradition of this longstanding event. So they're looking at October 22nd, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. We did start, given, how short a notice it is, we did start advertising for it, even though it hasn't been approved. Hopefully that we'll get a favorable outcome here tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, so just so we're clear, we intend to take action on this, so any public comment this evening, we would hear on that issue at the end of the meeting before you vote.
Okay. So put that on for Monday.
No, it's tonight.
This tonight?
Yeah, they want the vote to happen tonight, so they have.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Chuck, as a board member of Hobart's Run, I should not be involved in this.
Yeah, I would recommend that you just abstain.
Okay. 23, toss your turkey. Same
I-
as last year.
Actually, the last one was the Halloween parade, and then the one after that is the Halloween event with Janet Friedline. So this is also a block party that she had done in previous years. It's from Wilson to Diamond Street on North Franklin from 5 to 9. It's a safe trick-or-treat event.
If you want to experience Halloween in Pottstown, you need to go to that block party, just to let you know. It's like the best trick-or-treating at Janet's house.
You haven't been to my house.
Okay.
And now, toss your turkey.
Now it's toss your turkey.
Yeah, so this is the Pottsgrove School District sponsored event. It proposes to close College Drive between Hanover and Keystone Boulevard from 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
All right. List that one, and then Funky Santa Run.
Right, so again, this is a reoccurring event, Parks and Rec sponsored, similar closure to the one above on College Drive between Hanover and Keystone from 8:45 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Okay. Put that on. And 25, discussion on scheduling times. Lisa, do you want to take the lead?
I do. So I want to bring this up because this is something that I've heard from constituents. It's a concern of mine. I want to know what the legalities are. A lot of our committee meetings are scheduled in the afternoon and at times that people cannot attend, including me. So I understand in asking for this discussion that one of the issues is sometimes there's staff members that are required to be at committees, and that could result in overtime. So that might be an issue for the community. So my real reason in bringing this up is to start a conversation and a dialogue, and I would like people to reach out to me on what they think after this discussion, or we may have more discussions on this topic. I'm not looking for anything to be voted on. I'm not looking to mandate anything. I'm just looking to have an open conversation between counselors and the public at the same time. And by doing this tonight, I hope some people will reach out to myself or their council people with either some suggestions or how they feel about it. If there was more committees in the evening, would they be more likely to, I don't want to say apply, but request to be on committees? Would there be more interest? And I would hope so, and I think that's really important. You've heard me say in the last couple of meetings on a lot of things, it's always the same people. And I think, based on things I've heard, is a lot of it has to do with the time of the meetings. So I don't know if any other counselors, mayor, you can be included too, have any feelings on the topic?
I actually like the idea of moving some of the committee meetings because, again, I work as well. Most of us do up here have 9 to 5 at least, or Trinita works like 9 to 9 to 9. But it's very difficult to go to an afternoon committee meeting, and especially if it's in person. I was kind of hoping
Yep.
when we went through the pandemic, that some of these meetings would, and I'm grateful that our borough council meetings have stayed hybrid, because so many people are able to attend that, can't, or we can hop on if we're stuck somewhere. But I was hoping that some of the committees would transition to hybrid or even Zooms. Specifically, a committee that interests me is the environmental committee, and I can't go at the times that they have it, and it would be helpful if it would be like a Zoom or call. So I agree. I think it's hard for people to, I don't think we can ask people to leave work to come, do civil service and volunteer for a committee, if they have to, leave work early. So if we can try to accommodate a little bit, that'd be great.
Or even if some of the committees would, like, on their own, push a meeting from, let's say, 2:30 to, like, maybe at least 4:30. And that is if you have a remote option. I mean, I'm fortunate because I work from home, and, I shouldn't announce this on TV because I sneak it a lot, but I can jump on to a meeting or, start early so I can have an hour. But I have a hard stop with that. So it would be just much more convenient, and I think would bring a lot of other people out. If committees would adjust their time, if we could come up with a solution, and I don't know what that would be. I work in the private sector, so we have a lot more flexibility with time and things like that. So I'm gonna ask our legal people to, and it doesn't have to be right now, but give some options on what we could do. And I'd like to hear from the public if you would be okay if staff members have to stay as far as overtime and things like that. Anybody else? Well, think about it. Maybe we can talk about it in the future.
Okay.
And really, if people would reach out to me, and again, your council people, and just express your opinions, your concerns, your likes and your dislikes. Thank you. I'm glad we got to have this conversation. Thank you, Stephanie.
All right. Next, we have upcoming board vacancies, blighted property review, one vacant term to expire December 31, 2023. EAC, one vacant term to expire August 10, 2024. Now, that'll hold till November. HARB, one vacant term to expire April 1, 2027. That's for November. We have one applicant, Wayne Fenstermacher. Land Bank Board, one vacant term to expire April 9, 2026. And Planning Commission, one vacant term to expire February 1, 2025, and that'll be for November.
So we did have one applicant for the Land Bank Board, but they ended up withdrawing their application for reasons unknown.
Okay. So anyone interested out there in TV land, you can get to put your application in with the borough, and we'll take action on some of these Monday evening. Comments from citizens. Do you have anyone online?
No, I don't have any online requests. Thank you. Just a reminder, everyone will have 3 minutes, and we may get back to you after the meeting. First is Kyle Weaver, 556 King Street.
Hello.
Hello.
Don't touch the mic with dirty gloves. First topics that were brought up in today's meeting that I would like to comment on. The tree grant for city sidewalks, that is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love it. I really wish that they would compensate on the tree because I've spent $3,000 on cutting down trees this year. It's very expensive. It's over $700 per tree. It's a big expense. I'm sure the concrete work is a lot of money too. I think it'd be great if you could somehow compensate partially for the sidewalk and the tree. I think that would encourage a lot more citizens to partake in that. this. So, this is my 6th meeting attending, complaining about trash in the town. This bag is the 40th, 40, like the Eagles record, bag of trash that I have picked up in the town on my own. That does not include the times that I've attended community events, various around the core and in the parks, and picking up trash. This was the stuff that I picked up walking out of my house to here tonight. This is not, so whenever I hear that Pottstown is beautiful, and I hear that it's pretty and it's clean, I get really frustrated because I see this crap when I walk home. It is not beautiful everywhere. It is not pretty everywhere. High Street is beautiful and pretty. I love this time of year. I love driving eastward towards the Hill School. You see all the beautiful sequoia trees changing yellow. It is stunning. I love High Street. It's a beautiful street here. You go to King Street, you go to South Street, it's this everywhere. I would like for trash cans to be provided so that citizens who are walking home in the public areas have an option to throw away this trash, because by far, the most common thing that I see are snacks from kids who are walking home from school and drink bottles. That is by far the majority of the stuff in here. It stinks, I'm gonna throw it away, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Can we
you.
please do something with trash cans?
Next up is Doug Slick, 474 North Evans Street.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for your time. I want to start with another positive story. Shortly after our last meeting, I had to call L&I. There was some trash in my alley, and there was also an abandoned car. Took 2 days later, the trash was cleaned up. There was a sticker on the car, and the abandoned car was removed from my alley last week. So the folks that run the trains here in Borough Hall are doing a great job, as far as I'm concerned. It's been mentioned by members of Congress, I'm sorry, members of the council, and also members of the public, I gave you promotion there, about the unhoused citizens we have living along the river trail and throughout the community. These are citizens also of the county and the state and the United States. Addressing housing for people living on the street can be overwhelming, and we can't solve all of the issues that are contributing to their status. What we can do is keep them warm in the winter and take steps toward finding them housing first. I have confidence that the people of Pottstown have empathy for these people, and given the opportunity, they have the desire to help. Successful models exist in Houston, where they've removed 25,000 people from the streets and put them in housing for at least a year. Successful model has also been followed in Atlanta. The important points of these models are that all levels of government work together, along with local nonprofits and business organizations. We have many of these, in fact, all of these components in place now. Locally, we have Pottstown Beacon of Hope, we have Pottstown Cluster, we have YW and YMCA, we have Mission First on High Street, we have Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation over there on High in Hanover. We have the county offering Monco Homeless Task Force with the support of the chair of the county commissioners, Ken Lawrence. He has made that a real point of his chairship. And that committee is gaining momentum. They've only been around for a few months. We have several local public servants who are sitting on that committee. And we have the Access Services, which Tower Health and Street Outreach have teamed up with to provide the street medicine program. They go to these unfortunate folks and provide services where they are. We have the Pennsylvania state provides homeless assistance programs accessible by 211. We have the United States Housing and Urban Development with the Section 8 or vouchers. We have the U.S. Health and Human Services for mental health and mental disorders. And we have a United States Interagency on Homelessness. We also have Medicaid. Noted most of these resources are understaffed and overworked. And nonetheless, I would like to try to volunteer to bring all of these options that we have to try to address the issue of these unfortunate folks. And just to finish with my happy sandwich, the Phils are in the second game of the playoffs. No score yet.
No score.
Thank you. That concludes public comment.
Okay. Do I need to ask for public comment on this issue?
No, because we already said.
We already said it?
So you're ready for a vote on that?
Okay, so we'll go back to 21. And I need a motion to approve the Halloween parade as written.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion on this?
I have one thing.
Okay.
If we do this, I would like lots of participation from the community. So, council, if you are around, if we do have the parade, I think it'd be really fun to get the community involved and just do like a monster mash, dance down and participate in the parade, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And
You would
it's-
note Mr.
it's
Manastra's
approved.
abstention,
Yep.
601.
Because you don't want to dance?
Don't hope.
No, I can't vote on this, on this. Okay, I'm a board member, so I'm abstaining.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be funny.
All right, counselors' general discussion. From number 7, Counselor Kirkland. Nothing, Counselor Monastra.
Two things.
Yes, sir.
First thing, I noticed that we had some presentations with regard to budgets, and people would like us to give some of the money away to them. I know from my own experience, my own businesses, getting credit lines from banks and things as such, there are certain requirements that I have to follow. I have to give them my financial statements. I have to give them my tax returns. I have to show these people that the money that I am asking for is going to be used properly. I would hope that when these organizations, whatever it is, whether it's the library or Parks and Recs or PAID or whoever, when they ask us for money, I think it's our responsibility to ask for their financial records so that we can review them and make sure that, because that's what businesses do. That's what happens to me, because they want to make sure that the money is used properly, or they're to find out why they need this money, okay? That's just what businesses do. On the second thing is, missed out on the list of things that were happening in the Pottstown area in October would be this Saturday, which is the Edgewood History Walk, where people can learn about the citizens who have gone before us, the historical citizens. And we have 3 tours starting at 1:30, all of which are almost sold out except for, I think, the last one. So tickets are still available. You can also purchase art there that was created by my partner Jessica, and of the basically artwork and with of the hawk that flies around there. So that's this Saturday. Okay, we'd like you to come. And then on the 21st, also not mentioned, was the Edgewood cleanup, which is the cleanup for that we have a couple times a year to clean out the gardens, and I encourage all those who would like to help to come out and help. Thank you.
To reply to you, we had our finance and administration meeting this afternoon, and I talked to the committee about adding those requirements to anyone we give funds. So whether it be the library, the fire company, or whatever, we would like to have a financial, at least an annual report.
Makes sense.
If we donate, we want to see how they used it.
Makes sense.
Okay?
Thanks.
Yes, Counselor Lindsay.
Oh,
Nothing?
My turn? No, you know, No, I have just a little bit. I just want to let you know that this week is National Newspaper Week. Yeah, if you didn't know. So if you see any hard copy newspaper or get the subscription to the Mercury, it'd be gladly appreciated. Let's see. And FEMA and FCC, did you get the little alarm thing on your phone? Okay, well, it should be another one, October 10th. Okay, 11th, sorry, October 11th. 2:20, the same time. Thank you guys for doing that parade, for the Halloween parade. I want to let you know that it was a process going on. And thank you to Johnny Corson, because he put all of us on this email. And he wanted, even if it's 3 people walking down on High Street, he wanted a parade for the babies, so, for the kids. So I want to say shout out to him. All the sponsors, thank you, you know who you are. Hobart's Run, thank you. And thank you to Andy, because she was on the emails. I was working, she asked me, we emailed back and forth. Michael, thank him. Everybody just was, it was a team effort. That's what the village does in Pottstown. They just come in there and they make things happen. I do ask and you shall receive. That's what they say in the Bible. Okay, and let's see, what else did I had something else in here? Congratulations to the ones that was honored for the veterans, Tamara Charles, Lynn Gisler, I think I'm saying that wrong, and Jamie Washburn. They were presented the awards and stuff like that. So that's it for me. I'm done.
Very good. Councilor Budinski. Councilor Banny?
Yep. So first, I was pretty disappointed in the lack of participation in a discussion. I also want to talk about, just briefly, my experience with getting to speak with some of the unhoused. It was a very humbling and eye-opening experience for me. I would like to see our community council members come together and come up with some type of solution. Like somebody mentioned tonight, we're not going to solve everything, but I've watched repeatedly this community come together for many different reasons, most recently a parade. So I don't understand why we can't come together and work towards a solution instead of arguing, blaming, and wanting to throw people out. On another note, Stephanie or Mayor Hendrick mentioned AI. Part of me almost feels like we're already down that slippery slope, but I would urge you to contact your Congress members. It is really important that we get some type of control over AI. I work in software for a living. You heard one of the examples where it can mimic things. We watched this happen when social media came into play in Facebook. Some of our Congress people didn't even know what that was, and it got way out of control before anybody realized it or did anything about it. So I would highly suggest you reach out to your legislators and have that discussion. So one really positive thing, I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, I used to, for the same company, work in customer service for a really long time. So anybody that's talked to me, that's a big issue for me, and it matters, and I've talked about it with council people, about employees here, and the other day, I don't like to publicize that I'm a council person, so I came into the borough to buy a mattress bag. And I was waiting at finance, and there was a gentleman in front of me that had a lot of questions, and it was taking a while, and I didn't get upset. But the woman behind the counter never flinched. She was pleasant. Her voice never had a tone in it. She explained everything until the person understood it. She didn't get nervous because, somebody else was waiting in line. And it was really wonderful because I got to tell her how great she was. And she was having a bad day that day, so it really meant something to her. So I absolutely encourage everybody, here's an act of kindness, right?
There you go. Starts tomorrow. Yep, it is.
If you encounter somebody and they do something good, even like they smile, hold open the door, tell them that you appreciate them. It makes such a difference. I had no idea she was having a bad day. But it made her day, and I will tell you what, somebody gave me a compliment coming in here tonight, and it made my night. So make sure you tell somebody when they do something good. We all, like to yell and complain, and that seems to be our first reaction, so I'm really glad you're doing the acts of kindness. And I'm going to call her out. Her name is Gail. And I did call Justin and ask him personally to go down and thank her for being so pleasant. So Gail, if you're watching, you're wonderful, and I very much appreciate you. I'm done.
Okay. Counselor Proskal.
Well, no, two little boys will be happy to hear that they're going to have a Halloween parade this year.
Good.
I remember, I think it must have been maybe in 18, my son was a firefighter for a Halloween, and I was able to arrange so he could go on the fire truck, and I guess our honored Mr. Asipico was the guy that kind of hosts us on the fire truck. It's nice.
Are they going to participate in the Monster Mash dance?
I'll walk, but I won't dance. How about that?
You'll walk to music.
Mayor Hendrick.
Just to go back, I have the times for the North End Swim Club event on the 14th of October. It's 5 to 8. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. We will be having an executive session. We'll discuss collective bargaining and litigation. No action will be taken, and we will not be coming back. Meeting adjourned.